My sister, a vision of smug entitlement, declared my life's work her new career and demanded a 27% stake. But when I laid out the cold, hard receipts of her past failures and my silent sacrifices, her triumphant smile crumbled into dust. Everything about that Sunday dinner was engineered to dazzle. Every flower was perfectly arranged, every smile meticulously rehearsed. Yet, even before my eyes landed on the manila envelope nestled beside my father's plate, I recognized the predatory gleam in my sister Emily's eyes. It was the same look she'd had as a kid, right before pushing me into the pool. She was practically vibrating with a secret, triumphant energy. "I'm so glad you could make it, Monica," my mother said, her hand an unusually firm pressure on my back, guiding me into the dining room. The table was, as I expected, a masterpiece of domestic diplomacy. Fresh flowers, the finest china, and the crystal glasses reserved only for momentous occasions. Whatever this was, they had orchestrated it with care. Emily was seated across from me, her grin a haunting echo of the time she was 8, and had placed a whoopee cushion under my seat, barely containing her glee as I approached. As my father began to carve the roast beef with practiced authority, and my mother served mashed potatoes and my favorite Parker House rolls, my stomach tightened. That's when I truly saw it, the manila envelope peeking out from under Dad's napkin, a harbinger. "The clinic is doing well, isn't it, dear?" Mom asked, her voice a little too bright. "Are you still working those crazy hours?" "Business is booming," I replied simply, my eyes darting to my father, who flickered a glance at the envelope. "We had a 22% increase in our patient load this quarter." Emily let out a delicate snort. "It was so crowded in the waiting room last time I visited, and so small. Your office management could really use an overhaul." And there it was. The final puzzle piece clicked into place, forming a picture I didn't want to see. My father cleared his throat, placing his fork down with a deliberate clink against the porcelain. "Monica, we've been thinking about the future of your clinic." I stopped chewing, the food turning to ash in my mouth. Mom slid in seamlessly, as if on cue. "Family businesses, darling, need family leadership. Your father and I have been discussing how to best secure the future of healing hands within the family." "It's not a family business," I said, my voice dangerously quiet. "I built it, alone." "With our help," Dad corrected, his hand now resting possessively on the envelope. "And besides, Emily has a wonderful proposal that will benefit everyone." My sister sat up straighter, her expression one of profound magnanimity. "I've developed a strategic plan to take over as your practice manager. I'll handle all the tedious administrative work, freeing you up to focus on patients." She leaned forward, her eyes glittering. "And considering the growth I'll bring, a 27% profit share is more than reasonable." My own heartbeat thundered in my ears. This wasn't a dinner. It was an ambush. The past rushed back in a torrent. Me, a physical therapy student, working double shifts in the hospital cafeteria to send money home so Emily could get through her first year of college without a care in the world. Me, living on instant ramen in a tiny apartment furnished with curbside trash. Me, studying through the night after 14-hour clinical rotations, my body aching. I still had $193,000 in student loans, a monthly debit from my account that felt like a bloodletting. I already have a clinic manager, I said, my voice flat. Emily is a people person. Mom waved a dismissive hand. Remember how she charmed Dr. Evans at your grand opening? He barely gave you the time of day. I remembered, just like I remembered Dad taking my academic awards from my graduation to use in photos with Emily, who wore my cap and gown. Practices aren't built on book smarts, Monica. I remembered Emily's disastrous summer as a temporary front desk assistant in 2016, where she gave unauthorized discounts to her sorority sisters, and her scheduling errors left patients waiting for hours or turned away completely. I had spent weeks personally calling and apologizing. "May I see your plan?" I asked, my voice betraying none of my inner turmoil. "Of course," Dad said, his smile pleased as he slid the envelope across the polished wood. "My lawyer already drafted the contract. All it needs is your signature. I have some ideas for redecorating your office already." Emily clapped her hands together softly. "Maybe we can start tomorrow." I took a slow sip of water, placing the glass back on the coaster with perfect precision. Then, I reached down beside my chair and retrieved my own briefcase. "Before we go any further," I said, meeting their expectant gazes, "I think you should see this." The click of my briefcase, latches echoed like a gunshot in the suddenly silent room. I pulled out a leather-bound portfolio, an expensive one I'd bought myself after landing the Denver sports medicine contract. My father's confident smile began to waver. The portfolio itself was a silent testament to everything I had achieved without them. "What is this?" Dad's voice had a slight tremor. Mom fidgeted with her napkin. Across the table, Emily's victorious expression began to curdle. I laid out my documents with the same methodical care I used for a patient's treatment plan. "This," I said, tapping the corporate letterhead on the top page, "is my management services contract with Colorado Healthcare Partners. Signed 4 weeks ago. They are handling all future administrative operations for Healing Hands." Dad's brow furrowed as he reached for the papers. "You can't make a decision like this without consulting your family." "Oh, I can," I said, sliding another document toward him. "I've highlighted section 4.3 for you. It requires unanimous board approval for any family member to hold a managerial position. The board consists of myself and 2 partners from CHP. Emily's face flushed a deep, angry red. "You did this on purpose." "I made a business decision," I replied, my gaze locking with my sister's. "I've learned from past mistakes." I reached back into my portfolio and pulled out another file, this one thick with patient complaint forms, all neatly dated. "These are from the summer you helped at the clinic. 15 scheduling errors that resulted in double-booked patients. 24 unauthorized discounts, 8 of which went to your sorority sisters. 31 billing code errors that nearly triggered an insurance audit." Mom reached across the table, her fingers hovering near mine. "Monica, darling, everyone makes mistakes when they're learning." "These weren't learning mistakes," I said, slowly rising to my feet, feeling a new sense of power as I towered over my seated family. These were reckless errors made by someone who thought the rules didn't apply to her. I pulled out one last document. And this, my accountant prepared this. It details 4 years of complimentary medical services provided to this family, totaling over $46,000. Dad's rotator cuff therapy, Mom's plantar fasciitis, Emily's sports massages before every beach vacation. A tidal wave of shocked silence washed over the table. Their expressions shifted from entitlement to a queasy disbelief. While I was eating ramen and paying off student loans, I covered your health care. While you told me you couldn't afford to help with both our educations, I worked extra shifts in a cafeteria to pay for Emily's first year of college, I said, my gaze fixed on my father. I slept on treatment tables in my own clinic when I couldn't afford rent and malpractice insurance at the same time. My phone buzzed, a text from my actual clinic manager. Are they still trying? The timing was perfect. I wasn't alone in this. My staff had stayed late to fix Emily's blunders while she posted Instagram pictures from rooftop bars. They knew the truth. My mentor's warning echoed in my ears. Family and business are like oil and water. I should have listened sooner. I methodically gathered my documents, placing them back into the portfolio in a precise order, a deliberate movement that calmed me. Let's talk numbers, Dad said, his voice now stripped of its authority, sounding like a businessman about to lose a deal. Perhaps 22% for a trial period, not 25%. I snapped my portfolio shut. This isn't about your money. This is my clinic. I never thought I'd see the day you put business before family, Mom whispered, her hand flying to her throat in a practiced, theatrical gesture. The words hung in the air, revealing their entire warped perspective. My success wasn't mine. It was theirs to leverage. My clinic wasn't my achievement. It was their opportunity. I'm not putting business before family, I replied, my voice far calmer than I felt. I'm putting up a boundary to stop being taken advantage of by family. Emily shoved her chair back, the legs scraping against the hardwood floor. You've always been so dramatic, Monica, acting like you did everything yourself when we were always here supporting you. Supporting me? I raised an eyebrow. When you took my graduation cap for photos, Dad. When you told Dr. Evans I was just the doctor on site at my own clinic opening, Mom. The memories bubbled to the surface, sharp and unstoppable. Remember my 13th birthday, when I got a card and 2 weeks later Emily got a brand new bicycle. Or my high school valedictorian ceremony that none of you attended because Emily had a cold. I snapped my briefcase shut. Your support was nowhere to be found when it mattered. My father stood up. He used to tower over me, but now he just seemed tall. Success has made you cold, Monica. You've changed. No, I said, looking him directly in the eye. Success has made me visible, and you have no idea what to do with a daughter you can't ignore. I lifted my briefcase from the floor. It felt surprisingly light, considering the weight I had been carrying for years. I took a deep breath, and for the first time since entering this house, my chest didn't ache. I will be fine on my own. I paused at the door, turning back to face them. By the way, starting next month, all family treatments will be billed at our standard rate. Our charity program is for people who genuinely cannot afford care, not for people who simply prefer not to pay. I heard my mother's shocked gasp, my father's muttered curse, and Emily's theatrical sob behind me. But for the first time, their reactions didn't trigger the familiar urge to compromise. As I stepped out into the cool evening air, my phone buzzed again. My clinic manager, "We've got your back." And for the first time, I truly believed it. That night, alone in my apartment, the memories came unbidden. My 13th birthday, an unceremonious Tuesday in April, marked only by a single card propped against my cereal bowl. 2 weeks later, Emily's 11th birthday, and the arrival of a shiny teal bike with handlebar streamers. I watched from the porch as our parents cheered her every wobbly circle. "Take a picture of your sister, Monica," Dad had said, handing me the camera. I framed Emily's radiant face in the viewfinder, a perfect family moment I was tasked to document, not be a part of. My high school graduation, valedictorian, a full scholarship to Colorado State. The auditorium was filled with parents clutching bouquets. Mine slipped into the back row 7 minutes after my speech, whispering about traffic. "Emily's dance recital is tonight, though," Mom had told me later. "We'll be there for that, will you?" The pattern continued. My Dean's List certificates from college sat unopened on the kitchen counter for weeks. At my physical therapy school graduation, I stood alone as my parents orchestrated a 20-minute photo shoot with Emily wearing my hard-earned cap and holding my diploma case. "Book smarts don't build practices," Dad had said, handing the cap back without meeting my eye. Years later, I was hunched over a laptop at midnight in the sterile quiet of my fledgling clinic. The $193,000 in student loan debt glared at me from the screen. That same month, I'd sent Emily $1,200 to help with her rent as she navigated her 4th job in 2 years. I remembered the bank manager's voice, polite but firm. "Miss Hale, without a co-signer, we cannot approve this business expansion loan." My parents had refused to co-sign, having bought Emily a new car the month before. That night, I slept on a treatment table, wrapped in a patient blanket. When Healing Hands Physical Therapy finally opened in its own dedicated space, my parents stopped by for 15 minutes between Emily's bridal shower and their dinner reservation. They left before the champagne toast. The turning point came during a meeting with a stern representative from Blue Shield. She was about to deny a batch of our claims. "Your documentation just doesn't meet our standards," she began. I slid a folder across the desk. "Here are the updated protocols I created, based on your own guidelines. Every treatment code is cross-referenced with your latest manual." Her eyebrows shot up. "You did this yourself." All our claims were approved 4 days later. Referrals started pouring in. Profitability followed. I celebrated alone, staring at the accounting software, realizing with a jolt that my invisibility had become my superpower. My success was built on the very skills my family overlooked: tenacity, precision, and relentless self-sufficiency. My clinic manager, Tessa Quinn, once showed me a higher-paying job offer from a major hospital. "I tore it up," she'd said. "They don't value people the way you do here. What you're building is special." My team, my chosen family, rallied. They stayed late to fix Emily's scheduling disasters, fueled by pizza and shared purpose. "We're a team," my lead therapist, Mateo, assured me. "The fact that she's your sister is just interesting." 6 weeks ago, this new chapter began. Now I have a corner office with a view of the Denver skyline, but I've positioned my desk to face the treatment floor. Through the glass, I can see Blake patiently guiding Mrs. Klein through her post-stroke exercises. This is healing. This is what they never understood. My phone vibrates. It's my mother for the 4th time today. After 7 weeks of me declining dinner invitations, their calls have become more frequent, a mix of feigned interest and remorse. "We never see you anymore." Yesterday, Emily showed up unannounced with a folder of marketing ideas. My front desk manager, Evan, followed protocol perfectly, offering her a seat in the waiting room and calling me. I continued with my patient session, uninterrupted. I open the 14th draft of an email I've been composing. It is measured, exact, and final. It outlines my professional boundaries: no family involvement in the clinic, standard rates for services, and no misrepresentation of Healing Hands as a family business. My finger hovers over the send button when Juno, my new clinic manager, walks in with 2 cups of coffee. "Thought you could use this," she says, then slides her phone across my desk. It's my mom's Facebook page. A photo from my clinic's opening day 4 years ago. The caption, posted 20 minutes ago, reads, "So proud of Monica's vision for Healing Hands therapy. We always knew she had the magic touch. Family business proud mom." I send the email. "They didn't contribute a dime," I say, my voice raw. "They didn't put in an hour. They didn't believe this would work until it was already successful." Juno nods. The community is noticing the disconnect. Dr. Ahmed mentioned it when he referred that complicated shoulder case last week. He said he sends patients here because you built something real, not something inherited. She gestures to my framed first business license. He praised your humility and your team, not a flashy family name. Just then, my phone pings with a text from Emily. "Hey, big sis. Can we talk? Just us?" It's followed by a formal letter from my father's lawyer, which arrived in yesterday's mail, proposing family mediation. They're panicking. Their narrative is crumbling. I look out the window at the team I built, the practice I willed into existence through sheer force of will. "What's the plan?" Juno asks. I file her note away. I'll be ready to talk when they're ready for a relationship that isn't based on what they can take from me. Until then, my priority is protecting what I've built. 2 weeks later, I arrive at Cornerstone Cafe, a neutral ground. I've brought the portfolio, my silent witness. When they walk in, Dad with his shoulders squared, Mom fidgeting with her pearls, Emily glancing nervously between them, their coordinated facade falters at the sight of me, calm and prepared. The conversation is a predictable dance of veiled threats and feigned affection. "We've always been so proud of you," Mom insists. "I've revised my proposal," Emily says, pulling out a tablet. I cut through it all. "The Carters asked me at their anniversary party when you'd all be starting at the clinic," I say, opening the portfolio. I lay out the screenshots of my mother's Facebook posts, the text messages from friends asking about the family practice, the email from Dr. Ahmed questioning my father's inquiries about a partnership. "You've been spying on us." Emily's voice is laced with betrayal. I've been paying attention, I correct. While you were building a narrative, I was building a practice. I pull out the final spreadsheet. $47,210 in free treatments. $17,900 in unpaid personal loans to Emily, all while I was sleeping on treatment tables. My father's composure finally cracks. We never thought you could do it alone. We were trying to secure your future. The truth, accidental and ugly, hangs in the air. They never believed in me. It's not fair, Emily finally wails, her mask of sophistication dissolving. Why do you get the business, the respect, the fancy title? I'm stuck in a cubicle while you get to play savior in your precious clinic. There it is, the raw envy that fueled the entire charade. I close my portfolio with a definitive snap and stand up. I built what I have while emotionally and financially propping up this family. I'm done playing games, and I'm done being your safety net. I place cash on the table for my coffee and walk out, not looking back. For the first time, I am moving forward without seeking their approval in the rearview mirror. With every step, I shed the weight of their expectations, walking out of their shadow and into my own light. 2 years later, the Denver skyline is golden from my clinic's picture window. The waiting room, once a cramped space of anxiety, is now a bustling hub of hope. We have a 2-month wait list. Ready for your 400, Dr. Hale? Jade, my lead therapist, asks. It's Mrs. Whittaker's final session. She's an elderly woman whose spine was bent from a lifetime of hard work. Here she is, Mrs. Whittaker announces to the room. The miracle worker. I laugh. You did the hard work. You kept up with your exercises. Nonsense, she waves a gnarled hand. My grandson says you're the best in Denver, and that boy researches everything. Later, I address my new mentorship group, 4 recent graduates with the same fire in their eyes I once had. The most important thing I can teach you isn't a technique, I tell them, perching on the edge of the conference table. It's knowing your own value. In this profession, you will give and give. Make sure you are giving to people who see what you're offering. My personal email contains a message from Mom, photos of her volunteer work at a community garden. It's her 3rd non-demanding email this week. Slow, tentative steps. Emily sent a separate email, a brief, exclamation point-free announcement of a promotion at a job she found on her own. That evening, I gather with my chosen family, my team, my friends, at our monthly dinner. The conversation is loud, real, and restorative. Jade raises her glass. To Monica, who taught us that setting a boundary isn't selfish. It's survival. As applause fills the room, I think of the scholarship I've established, the free clinic day we host next month, the life I've built not in spite of my family, but because I finally learned to define myself outside of their expectations. I step onto the back porch, the mountains silhouetted against the twilight sky, steadfast and unmovable. You look peaceful, Naomi, my friend, says, joining me. I am, I breathe, the air cool and clean. I finally realized I can be a healer without setting myself on fire to keep others warm. Tomorrow, I will help an elderly man regain his mobility. And when he says thank you, he will look me in the eye, he will see me, and that will be enough.